It's one of the oldest caves that has long sparked controversy. Ancient rituals in a deadly cave, a gateway to hell and the underworld, a belief that prevailed for centuries. Sacrifices were made to appease their god of the underworld, contributing to solving the mystery that attempts to unravel began ages ago. What's its story, and what is this cave? Fasten your seatbelts as we travel through time to one of the world's oldest cities to learn about the Roman gateway to hell. Let's begin. The Roman gateway to hell, the deadly cave, or as it was known in ancient times, Plutonium, an ancient Roman temple. The archaeological discoveries in the city formerly known as Hierapolis, now located in modern-day Pamukkale, Turkey, conclusively indicate that this temple, with its square courtyard and scattered seats, was a site that attracted many followers and tourists at the time. But what event necessitated the construction of this temple? Or more precisely, what was this temple built upon? The answer comes from archaeologists from the University of Salento in Italy, who were credited with discovering this site. The temple was built atop a cave that leads to a deep cavern, its entrance a gateway to the underworld, according to ancient Roman historians. Why did this cave gain such notoriety? Let's see. Historical studies and research have proven that this temple was a destination for ancient tourists who flocked to the gateway of the underworld to witness sacrificial rituals dedicated to Pluto, the god of the underworld. The platform of death, as scientists called it, was named Plutonium, as mentioned earlier, after Pluto, the god of the underworld. According to ancient Romans, Pluto would claim the life of anyone who approached this gateway, except for the priests. Therefore, visiting tourists would sit on their benches to witness this miracle. The priests would enter with unfortunate animals into the cave, from which smoke and vapor would emerge before the crowds. Moments later, the priests would emerge unharmed, while the animals would perish, some in front of onlookers and others inside the cave. It was also possible to see them transitioning to the underworld, as was believed at the time. This phenomenon greatly enhanced the priests' sanctity, as they were immune to the god of death, and the gateway to the underworld or the gateway to hell had no effect on them whatsoever. The phenomenon of animals dying in the cave and their transition to the underworld attracted the attention of many authors and historians of that time. For instance, the famous Roman author and natural historian Pliny the Elder mentions this phenomenon in one of his writings, calling it Charon. Charon was a mythological figure whose task was to ferry the souls of the dead across the river Styx to the underworld, according to ancient Roman beliefs. But the question now is, what caught scientists' attention and significantly contributed to highlighting this ancient cave among the various ancient ruins discovered in our time, especially since the matter of animals dying at the cave's entrance and inside it is supposedly ancient and ended? The answer is truly shocking. This cave, according to many sources, is still deadly. How? According to research, studies, and discoveries published by several scientists who tried to solve this mystery, most notably what was published in the Journal of Archaeology and Anthropology in February 2018, birds that pass by the cave's gateway fall dead. Moreover, inside researchers found many dead rats and birds, in addition to more than 70 beetles that also perished, as reported by CNN. This is where science stepped in. Of course, scientists didn't believe in the platform of death and gateway to hell narratives, but there had to be a cause for what happened in past centuries and continues to happen to this day. Indeed, after much research and study, they reached the definitive answer. The cause of these vapors, which were considered sacred in the past, and the cause of these animals' deaths in this manner, is a purely geographical phenomenon. This phenomenon was mentioned, and even attempted to be explained in one way or another, before modern-day scientists by one of the most prominent geographers of the pre-Christian and early Christian era, the geographer Strabo. In his writings, Strabo mentioned that any animal that passes inside the cave meets its death immediately. Bulls fall and die automatically, and birds, when thrown inside, took their last breaths and died instantly. Strabo also literally added, in his attempt to explain what was happening, that the space is filled with a dense, misty vapor that doesn't allow one to see the ground. So the cave is filled with gas in our current terminology, a poisonous gas that kills living creatures, according to Strabo. Was he right? Yes, the veteran geographer preceded our modern scientists in analyzing the situation. Studies and research published in various scientific journals prove that the cave, grotto, or temple was built over a deep fissure underground. This fissure releases highly concentrated amounts of carbon dioxide gas. The high concentrations of this gas, which ranged according to the research team led by volcanologist Hardy Fantz, between 4% and 53% at the cave entrance and 91% inside, are certainly lethal to living creatures. Living beings in general, and mammals in particular, cannot tolerate concentrations of more than 5% of this gas. Therefore, the death of animals, birds, bulls, and others is natural and inevitable due to its density at the cave's entrance and inside. I know what you're thinking. How did the priests survive despite the high concentration of carbon dioxide? If we return to our friend Strabo, he too wondered about this and narrowed it down to two possibilities. Either the priests were truly immune and had a divine connection, or they simply held their breath. However, modern scientists and new studies have provided a more logical explanation. Studies indicated that carbon dioxide gas is heavier than oxygen and therefore settles at the bottom. At this density and concentration, it formed what resembles a toxic lake. As for why it affected animals but not priests, height plays a role here. The toxic gas lake, according to Fantz and his colleagues, was at the height of the animal's nostrils, so they inhaled the poisonous gas directly and died, while the priests stood above it and didn't inhale the gas directly. Fantz also, according to his interview with CNN, stated that the priests knew about the gas and even knew that its concentration changed with time, so they would schedule the sacrifices accordingly to ensure their survival and safety. Despite the scientific explanation of what happened and continues to happen, the Roman gateway to hell and its deadly cave, with all its stories and myths, remains one of the archaeological sites that tells us much about previous times and the people of that era, including their lies, deceptions, and false beliefs, a lesson for those of understanding. So friends, this is what we had about the Roman gateway to hell, or the deadly cave, the cave that was considered since ancient times an entrance to the underworld. A natural phenomenon that caused one of the most controversial rituals in ancient times, and in one way or another contributed to reinforcing the idea of priestly sanctity. Science, even after many centuries, helped decode the mystery of this cave. Of course, the deadly cave is not the only place or landmark shrouded in mystery. Many places and ruins are discovered one after another, still surrounded by mystery and reality, still waiting for someone to solve their puzzles. Of course, science is the primary way for everything until it becomes unable to do so, and the case becomes one of our program's cases. These places and other topics will be under the lights of our research and topics. If you liked the video, don't forget to share it with your friends and join the channel to receive all new content.